If you're seriously considering a move to Colorado,
Seriously?
Seriously.
then this video and this series of videos is going to be the only thing that you need to watch. We are doing a deep dive into all the suburbs around Denver, what it's like to live, work, and play, and highlighting the best neighborhoods, schools, shopping, dining, everything you need to know. We are not leaving any stone unturned in this series, and today we are going to start out with Castle Rock, Colorado. So if you guys are flying into Denver and you're at DIA and you're making the trip down to Castle Rock, it's going to be about 45 to 50 minute commute without traffic, maybe an hour if you have to sit in a lot of traffic. One of my suggestions is to take the toll road that will get you around a lot of the interior of Denver and avoid a lot of that traffic. But as you're coming down I-25, you'll pass the town of Castle Pines and then you'll get to the town of Castle Rock. Now this is a very large suburb of Denver. We're about 75,000 residents and it is continuing to grow and expand. And when you're coming down I-25, you're going to find 4 exits for the town of Castle Rock, soon to be 5. We'll get to that a little bit later. But coming into the town, you're going to find the Promenade is kind of the first impression that you get of the city as you come in. And this is a newer development. So there's been a lot of commercial properties being built up and developed in this area. This is where you're also going to find a lot of your big box stores and I guess more chain restaurants. There's a couple really good ones though in this area. It is a balmy 18 degrees out as we start these tours, and this, where I'm at right now, is the Promenade. Like I said, a lot of newer development, a lot of commercial buildings going in, also some luxury apartments going into this area, but you get your big box stores like TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Sierra Trading Post, Sam's Club, Whole Foods is up here as well. So you have a lot of the things that you come accustomed to in the suburbs in this area, but also some smaller spots to go check out, like Smoothie Place, Popcorn Shop, Perspire Sauna is actually up here as well. So Castle Rock definitely has a wellness aspect to it. It's a very active city, and you'll find a lot of wellness spas, massage places, and recovery things going in all over the city. Two Mexican restaurants up here, Los Dos and La Loma, which are both fantastic, both very highly rated among everyone in Castle Rock, and both have amazing views of the mountains and of Castle Rock. So highly recommend both of those spots when you come and you're visiting, touring around Castle Rock. We do have a Sam's Club here in Castle Rock, and we're also slated to get a Costco probably in the next year, 2025, 2026, expected to be here on the south end of Castle Rock. This is also the place where if you're local, you get your gas because it's cheaper than anywhere else in Castle Rock. I don't know why it is. It's like 30 cents cheaper every single time you come here versus going to any of the other gas stations around. Now, as we move through the Promenade, you'll get to some of the original parts of Castle Rock, and what it used to be really well known for is the outlet mall down here. So if you're looking for bargains and you're looking for something to do, it gets really, really crowded on the weekends. So if you live down here, normally you don't shop here that often, but it's also got its own in and out, so that's cool. I just found out that a Hey Dude opened up in there. I have never been there. I'll have to check that out. Those shoes look super comfortable. My favorite spot in the outlets, though, has to be Cinnabon. I mean, is there anything better than fresh, warm Cinnabon? And it's January. I can't do it. I'm still holding strong on my resolutions, but man, nothing better. Thing about these cold weather days and drinking all this coffee to stay warm is you gotta pee all the time. I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
And we're back. Now, here in the Promenade, there's actually still development going on. There's still land and space available for commercial development. So if you are thinking of making a move here and opening a business, or you need some retail space, you definitely have that opportunity here in the Promenade. Now, one thing I will note, doing some commercial real estate here in Castle Rock as well, taxes and the special taxing district in the Promenade in that newer area is a little bit higher than other parts of the city, so that's something to keep in mind. You're kind of praying for a premium location. It's got great views, it's got good accessibility from the freeway, it's got good visibility from a lot of Castle Rock, so you are paying for a premium when you get one of those spots. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more affordable, less property taxes, rents are not going to be quite as high, moving into the interior of Castle Rock or further south may be the best option for you in that regard. So the first neighborhood we're going to tour today as we leave the Promenade and head to the west, the furthest north neighborhood in Castle Rock is called the Meadows. And this is the further north you get, kind of that's where the first development was down here. So these are going to be a little bit older homes built in the 90s, early 2000s. And, kind of a mix of starter homes and more established neighborhoods. So your price range is going to be anywhere from like $500, $550 on the low end for one of the smaller starter homes, and upwards of $700, $800 into a lot of the mid-level homes in this neighborhood. And as you move a little bit further to the south and a little bit further to the west, you're going to find the neighborhoods get a little bit newer, a little bit larger scale of homes, and as well as the price increasing in those areas as well. So you'll find everything in the Meadows from like 500 your starter homes upwards of $1 million, 1.2 on that west end, where you do have really nice views of the foothills and you have a lot of open space. And so there's a really good mix of things in the Meadows. Now, it is very much a family style neighborhood, so you find a lot of families end up moving here. There's tons of trails throughout all of the neighborhoods. There's a ton of parks through each and every neighborhood. There's some larger ones that you can drive to, and there's almost always one little small like pocket neighborhood park that you can usually walk from your front door to with the kids, or take a short bike ride to. So in this neighborhood that we're in right now, you're going to have Castleview High School, which is one of the two high schools in Castle Rock. Both are very highly rated, part of the Douglas County school system. And you'll also have Castle Rock Middle School in this pocket of the neighborhood as well. So all of Douglas County schools seem to be pretty highly rated and have favorable rankings among a lot of the parents. You have to do some of your own due diligence on some of those things, but as far as overall scores and overall rankings, Douglas County is one of the higher ones in the metro area, which is definitely a positive and a reason it's become popular for families. Another thing that is popular over here to do is the Butterfield Park. Now, this one just recently went through kind of a renovation and facelift, and they added some new things. It also has a pool over here in the summer for kids to come and play at. This is also the pool that they do a lot of the meets when they're have swim competitions or things like that. But this one of the unique things about this park is it has accessible features to disabled children, so that they can also play on some of the playground equipment and enjoy it like all the other kids, which is cool. So this park and playground is really great. Not only do you have a great playground to come explore, you also have the pool. There's also pickleball courts right behind me. Obviously right now everything is covered in snow, so can't quite get the full glimpse of it, but I'll incorporate some of the summer footage that I have of Castle Rock and some of the drone shots so you guys can really see what Castle Rock is all about. You also have baseball fields here. There's also a workout facility. Not a workout facility, but a workout like area here in the park. So if you're out doing, you know, a 5K, 10K run, you want to stop, get some pull-ups, push-ups, and do a couple of the machines. It's not really used by a whole lot of people, but something to, you know, add a little extra to the park. Also great space to let the dogs run around, but you got hundreds of miles of trails throughout all of Castle Rock. This is just a small little glimpse of it. You have them almost throughout all the neighborhoods, and there's trails like throughout all these little individual pockets of these neighborhoods too, which is nice. So you can go and explore all of the beauty and nature around Castle Rock. So a lot of the homes in this neighborhood that we're touring now are going to range in that 600 to 750 range. You know, depending on, does it back to open space? Does it have a finished basement? What are the finishes like? How was it up? You know, what was the upkeep on the house like? But pretty good value when you consider the size of home you're getting. These are around 3,500 to 4,500 square feet. 3-car garages are very common in this area. Well-constructed homes, nice wide streets through the neighborhood, nice sidewalks. You are part of an HOA here, so those range. For this part of the Meadows, ranges about $80 to $90 a month, and that does cover your trash service for the neighborhood, as well as kind of the maintenance on some of the common areas of this particular part of the Meadows. Now, in this pocket of the Meadows that we're headed to right now, it's just across the street of Meadows Boulevard, which is kind of the loop that runs all the way through the Meadows neighborhoods. This neighborhood was constructed in the mid-2010 time frame to 2015, so a little bit newer of a home. You'll see that in some of the design, but also you'll see in the neighborhoods that they have a little bit smaller front yards and larger backyards compared to where we were in that first neighborhood. Now we've moved a little bit further to the west, and this pocket of the Meadows on the west end is going to be where we're going to find our most expensive and exclusive homes in neighborhoods like Soaring Eagle. These are going to be large-scale homes, very quality craftsmanship, custom to semi-custom homes built in this area, ranging from $1 million to $1.3 million. In most cases. On the front end of the neighborhood, they're a little bit cheaper, and we kind of find that as a theme throughout a lot of neighborhoods built in Colorado. Is some of the first homes when you come into a neighborhood are some of the cheaper ones, and then as you get further and further deeper into the neighborhood, they get more and more expensive. And some of those premium lots that are on the west end that back to just vast open space and large mountain views, panoramic views of mountains, are some of our most expensive and exclusive lots. I don't know if you can quite see behind some of these homes here, but there's just a wide open space, hundreds and hundreds of untouched acreage and panoramic views of the Rockies. All right, now we've moved a little bit further to the south of the Soaring Eagle neighborhood, into an area around Clear Sky Elementary and Bison Park, which is right behind me here. This is another one of Castle Rock's massive parks, huge soccer fields, huge baseball field, a lot of cool playground equipment for the kids. So home prices in this area are going to vary pretty drastically. If you're on the east side of Bison Park and you're closer to like Meadows Parkway, Meadows Boulevard that wraps through the Meadows. Prices are going to be right around 600, 750,000 for a lot of the homes. There are some that are even starter homes that are going to range in that 550 to $600,000 range, so a good value there. But the further that you move to the west and to the south, you're going to come up against these giant ridges where there's a lot of awesome mountain biking and hiking trails and great views as well. And a lot of those homes are going to be your large scale 5,000 square foot home, 900 to 1.1 million in most cases. And a little bit newer home than the last one we were in, where we were off of Soaring Hawk and those views in that area. Now that one is a little bit more exclusive. Not a lot of homes come up for sale in that area very often. So I would say if you are looking for the best value for the money and the best views possible, that first neighborhood is going to be a little bit better than this one as far as the location, in my opinion. This location is also very good. Also has very good views of the mountains. Not quite as panoramic as the first neighborhood, but these ones in here, given that they're around the same price point, if you're able to get it in that first neighborhood, I'd recommend that a little bit more. But definitely good opportunities here as more homes come up for sale in this particular neighborhood. Now, the one downside I will say of this area, Bison Park, Clear Sky Elementary, and this surrounding neighborhood, for some reason the cell phone coverage really sucks. I don't know why. Missing towers. They don't have enough towers in place over here. I don't have the 5G set to go, but I've always noticed that my cell phone coverage is a little bit worse in this area if I'm trying to look something up on my phone or I'm trying to make a phone call out of this neighborhood. So the one downside, if there is any to this neighborhood, is bad cell phone coverage. Want to say you do have good high-speed internet in this area, so if you work from home and 90% of your stuff is going to be off of Wi-Fi, then having the cell phone coverage doesn't matter a whole lot, but it is definitely a negative of this neighborhood. But definitely some very cool positives to this area. If you saw, you can just walk right out your house and be on a natural hiking trail within 2 to 3 minutes. If you're into mountain biking, take your mountain bike out and be on trails in just 30 seconds. So definitely a cool spot if you're very into mountain biking and if you're into hiking natural trails, because you have that right out your back door. And just south of here is actually the Miller Activity Complex, the MAC, which we'll get to in a few minutes. A big recreation center, outdoor activity space, definitely a lot of outdoor activities to do in the Meadows. And you live in a very active place when you have all these people taking walks, seeing people jogging, having their dogs out for a walk in this 18-degree weather. I think it's warmed up now to a balmy 23 degrees. A lot of people out here walking, enjoying the day. In the sunshine, it's actually not too bad. It's still that brisk crispness in the air, but overall, if you're in the sun, it's not too bad if you got a coat and you're absorbing that sunshine. In this neighborhood, you're going to find homes in the range of 500 to 550 in most cases. It's a little bit more of the starter neighborhood before we get back all the way to those homes that were next to Bison Park and Clear Sky. So if you're looking to get into this area, you won't be right walking distance out to the foothills that we were just driving by, but a short 2-minute bike ride and wham, you are there. So guys, another big benefit of living in the Meadows and something that I really enjoy in the summer is the Grange, and that is kind of our community center. Our HOA dues go to pay for it, but it has a couple of pools here that are great for the kiddos. You have the larger one in the Grange that we're at now, where you have a lap pool, you have a big water slide, you have just a big pool for the kids to play in, as well as a splash pad area. And then there's another one called the Taft House. It's right down the street from this one. It's been closed for repairs for a couple of years, and they've been in some litigation with the people that originally built it because of some of the defects and defaults, but hopefully we'll get it opened up within the next year. It's a little bit different, a little bit more geared toward your smaller kids, so it has more of a splash pad feel, not as deep of pools. So especially when our kids were real little, we enjoyed going there because you didn't have to worry about losing them and not knowing where they're at in the pool, since it is a shallower area. But they also have a rock climbing wall there where once you've passed your swim test and you can prove to them that you're not going to drown when you jump off the rock wall, you can climb up to a height of about 10-15 feet above the water and then free fall into the pool beneath. So definitely very popular among the kids that live in the Meadows, and really they're only 5 to 10 minutes away depending on where you live in the neighborhood. But the Meadows actually has 2 separate HOAs, so you got to be be careful of which one that you're a part of. They're both fairly similar in cost, but one of them does offer the pool, the Grange, and the Taft House. The other one does not. It just handles the community maintenance and your trash service and what have you. So very important that when you're looking for a home, you reach out to me and we can get you set up for success if the Meadows is a place that you want to be living in and you want all of those amenities. Thinking, Tim, I really like the Meadows, but we're not ready for that $700,000 house yet, or take on all that maintenance with a larger home if it's just the two of us, or we just have a little baby and we're just looking for something a little more entry level, starter level, but we don't want to fix her up either. Don't worry, I got you covered here as well. We got duplexes, townhomes, and some of these ones from Richmond that are called the Cityscape Collection. They've been popping up a lot all over the metro area, and they're more of the row style houses, and these are going to range from that $550,000 to $600,000 range, but some of the smaller and the duplexes are going to range in that $450,000 to $500,000 range. So if you're looking for something that's still a little bit newer but more affordable than some of these other neighborhoods we've been touring, this is the place to check out. Really nice thing about these ones is they have those rooftop decks, which are a killer feature on these, and they got great views of not only Castle Rock but of the mountains to the west. So definitely a very cool, hip place to live here in Castle Rock. If you're looking for something that's a little bit less maintenance, you don't have a yard to take care of, but you still want 2,000 square feet and a 2-car garage coming with it, those could be a great option with you. Now you do have to be cool with stairs. You'll definitely get your steps in the house like that. And it's just steps away from Ubergrippen, which is a really cool place here in Castle Rock, rock climbing gym. Cool place for date night, cool place for kids' birthday parties, just a lot of cool things. And Ubergrippen, if you're into rock climbing or you want to make that part of your lifestyle and your workout routine, they also have a gym inside of there, and it's really affordable, to be honest. I think around $100 a month for a membership. It's unlimited climbing and access to the gym. So if that's something that you're into, definitely worth looking into. So 2 other things before we leave the Meadows and head on to our next neighborhood is you do have the hospital here, which is a large employer here in Castle Rock, and it's expanding as we speak. So they're building onto it, adding more doctors' offices and more specialist offices. And you also have the Arapahoe Community College satellite campus down here. So large building right behind the hospital here, where you can take some of your college credits if you're kid is in high school and looking to go off to college, but you want to save some money and get some of those, ridiculous credits out of the way early, it's a great option for you. I went to their Littleton campus, so it's definitely a good option for getting some of those college credits out of the way. Or if you just want to take a class for fun in the evenings, learn something, keep your mind sharp, great option there as well. So that kind of wraps up a lot of the Meadows area. And lastly, we do have a couple of retirement homes here in the Castle Rock area as well on the Meadows side. So one, the Bonaventure, that has kind of been here for a long time, well established, favorably rated retirement home for aging parents, is here in the Meadows, and they've just built another one right across as you enter the Meadows from Santa Fe off Castle Rock Parkway. There's a brand new retirement home going in there too. So if you're thinking of moving the entire family out here, and or mom and dad need a little bit more care, or grandparents need a little bit more care, but you still want to be close to them, but they, you're not sure about living all together under the same roof, you do have options there as well. So definitely a lot of things happening in the Meadows, continues to grow. There is still a little bit of new construction happening in little pockets of the Meadows, but as we move further south from the Meadows, we get into the neighborhood of Red Hawk. So guys, here at the Red Hawk golf course, and you can see there's a lot of houses that surround the entire golf course. Again, if you live on the golf course, you're probably going to be looking at $800,000 to $1 million, depending on the size and the finishes of the house. But you do have great views of the Rocky Mountains from this golf course. Also a cool thing that they do in the winter when it snows a lot, we got to have a little bit more snow than we have right now, is at the driving range they have a large hill that the kids will come bring their sleds on and turn it into a sledding hill. So definitely a cool thing for the community as well. As we continue our journey to the south, just on the south end of the Red Hawk neighborhood, we will find some townhomes and like condo style living. These are going to be ranging in that 400 to 425 range as well. And then we have a few more single family homes before we get to the MAC, or Miller Activity Complex. This is one of the 2 rec centers in Castle Rock, but it's really so much more than just a rec center. You have soccer fields, you have an adventure tower where they got rock climbing, and they got, it's not quite bungee jumping or free fall, but they got a tower jump that you can make, where you're strapped into a harness, and then you're on a free fall for a second, and then it kind of ratchets you down and lets you fall gently and safely, hopefully, to the Earth's surface. There's also a kind of Ninja Warrior obstacle course in this adventure tower part, and they also have a huge zipline course around here in the Miller Activity Complex in this ridgeline open space. So it's almost like a really huge all-in-one adult play place for people who love the outdoors. So you can do your zip lining, your rock climbing, your mountain biking, your stair climbing. There's an incline of 200 steps. It gets pretty steep at the top. Once you get to the top, the views of Castle Rock and the entire area are amazing. You also have the actual rec center, where there's a golf simulator in the basement, indoor soccer fields, an indoor pool, and just a huge indoor play place, adventure, playground inside of it, where the kids can run around and burn off a lot of energy. So it's a really cool area. And one extra thing that it does have also is a amphitheater. So for concerts during the summer that the city puts on, great outdoor setting. It's It's beautiful in the summer, and they've really done a nice job with the lake and everything there with the amphitheater. So very cool place to come and hang out in the summer. It's a favorite park of my family. In the summer, they also have a splash pad there too, so cool place to cool off. So now we're moving into the downtown area of Castle Rock, and this is the old town, kind of the original footprint of Castle Rock, right off the railroad tracks, right off of the freeway I-25, and this is really a beautiful, beautiful downtown Main Street area where you have a lot of local shops, a lot of mom and pop or non-chain places to go to, but it's being built up and there's a lot of new things happening there. So you do have a lot of higher end restaurants down here, non-chain restaurants that a lot of people like. So it's a cool place to come and hang out, go for a date night, especially in the winter where you have the lights around Christmas time. It's very beautiful, and they decorate a place called Festival Park down here, and so that's a really cool place to go and walk around and just see the decorations and see the lights. So this is the part of the town where you still have that small town feel, but they are building some more luxury condominiums in this area. One of them in particular, the Encore building that we're passing now, generally those go from anywhere from $550 for a 1-bedroom 1-bath to $1 million for some of the larger penthouse style ones. But it's a really kind of upscale type of living. It reminds you of like downtown lofts in like Denver or Chicago or something like that, complete with its own fitness center and secure building and all that, but definitely a higher price point for this place in Castle Rock. So I mentioned there's a lot of things to do downtown. Here's just a few of my favorite things and the things that we and my family like to do. For brunch, B&B Cafe is probably the top place downtown. Now it's kind of one of those places you can find on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri. Really nice place, really cool place. It's always packed. It's always very busy unless you get there like right when it opens and you go on maybe a weekday. You can walk right in and get seated, but if you go on a weekend, they don't take reservations. It's first come, first serve. It's very popular because it's very good, and you'll probably have a little bit of a wait if you go there on a weekend. For dinner and drinks, I really like the Great Divide Brewery that's down here. It's a nice, clean place, really good atmosphere, really good food. Tribe, that's one of the restaurants right next door, is also a very good place, very clean food. A little bit more fancy dining, a little higher end. You might still be a little bit hungry when you leave there, but also right next to that is our favorite ice cream place, a Glacier ice cream and gelato place down here in downtown Castle Rock. So definitely a lot of places to come explore for good food. Favorite coffee shop is Dazbog. I know that's kind of a chain, but well, it is a chain, but I like their coffee. What can I say? Good Russian coffee. It's delicious. But there's also a few local cafes down there as well. So you can walk around downtown and just explore all these different things. There's great places all over the place. Little mom and pop shops as well, and little breweries kind of all over the downtown area. The Wild Blue yonder. There's also gyms down here. So if you are looking for a gym, close by, and you don't want like the 24-hour, the Planet Fitness, the bigger chains, and you want something a little bit more specialized, there's CrossFit gyms down here, the CrossFit Loop. There's the Fulcrum Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym that's down here. So definitely a lot of different options and selection in this downtown area. And also, if you want great donuts, you're looking for something to bring donuts to the office or just bring them home on a Saturday morning for you and the kids, the Donut House is great place to go and get some local delicious hot donuts. Now, the only real overall challenge or downside of this downtown area of Castle Rock is limited parking. So it can be a little bit of a challenge if you're on some of the outskirts of the downtown strip. You do open up to some larger parking lots, like over by the Douglas County Library and some of the other shopping centers that are nearby. And there's also a couple of parking garages here in the downtown area. One just west of Wilcox, that's kind of the main street that runs through downtown. But if you're coming here on one of the busier nights, like a Friday or a Saturday night, it might be a challenge finding parking, usually during the week, and on weeknights it's not too bad. So our neighborhoods down in this area of the downtown Castle Rock, like I said, it's kind of the original footprint of the town, are going to be, there's going to be a pretty big variety from things that are turn of the century, like built in 1900, when you're really in close to that downtown corridor, like, you know, craftsman architecture, colonial style, Victorian style homes. And then as you move out a little bit further, you get into the things that were built in the 50s, 60s, even the 70s and 80s. So then you'll see a lot of the bi-levels and tri-levels and traditional two-stories and ranches mixed in there. But when you're kind of in this heart of Castle Rock, you're going to notice the historic style homes like you'll find in an Old Town Littleton or some of the historic neighborhoods of Denver. So if you're looking for something like that, it does have that charm, but there's not a whole lot of them because that is a smaller sector of Castle Rock as a whole. Now, while some of these homes offer a lot of historic charm and the, you know, cozy cottage is very appealing to some people, especially if you're looking just for just a small spot, some of those homes, if they were built pre-1950, can come with a lot of maintenance issues to take care of. So just something to keep in mind. The only other downside I would say for that downtown area is sometimes when the city does put on some, you know, of the festivals and things, while you are closer to it and you can walk downtown, you don't have to, you know, fight for parking or anything. It can be a little bit noisier at times, and we do have the train that runs right through downtown Castle Rock. Now there is a no horn ordinance in place, so the train conductor can't blast the horn as he's going through the middle of Castle Rock and be waking people up at all hours of the night. But just those train tracks clanking and the, you know, freight trains coming through times of the day or night, it can be pretty noisy in that respect. So something to consider. Now as we move a little bit further to the east, we'll get into some of the other older neighborhoods that are right at the base of Castle Rock, and that's kind of what this whole town was, you know, founded upon, or, you know, the namesake of the town was this big rock in the middle of it that kind of looks like a castle at the top of this, you know, small mountain. And a lot of the homes in this area are going to be a little bit older, like mostly 80s and 90s in this area, and prices are going to range a wide variety, anywhere from like $500 up to $600,000 and $700,000, depending on the size and the square footage and the lot size. As you move closer to the rock, I noticed that a lot of them have very small lot sizes or very small usable lot sizes in regards to, you know, it's kind of built up into the side of this hill, so you don't have a traditional yard like you might have in one of the more traditional suburban neighborhoods. So something to consider. You do have a little bit more access to the views of Castle Rock because most of the houses, you know, are kind of stacked, leveling on top of each other, versus everything being on the same level playing field. So we've moved a little bit further to the east now, and now we're in the neighborhood called the Terrain. This is one of Castle Rock's favorite neighborhoods. Very popular among a lot of people that move out here. Did win Community of the Year several years back. So kind of one of those master plan communities like you'd see on Highlands Ranch, and similar to the Meadows, where a lot of the homes are going to have a similar feel and style to them. A lot of them built in the mid 2005, 2010 range. Even up until 2018 and 19, they were still building in this community. One thing they could do a little better is plow these streets so it's not so bouncy on me. But really nice homes, really nice community. Like I said, it has its own pool. Part of the neighborhood HOA has parks, has a middle school down here. So very popular among a lot of people and a lot of families who move out to Castle Rock. Only negative to this is it's a little bit further out from like everything in Castle Rock, and this is close to the neighborhood that I first purchased my home in when I moved down to Castle Rock back in 2012. So yeah, it's going to be 10-12 minutes down into like the heart of Castle Rock, whether that's the downtown area for your entertainment and dining, or going into like the main part of town where the Promenade is and where Home Depot, Lowe's, grocery stores and things like that. But there is a grocery store right outside the neighborhood here, which is nice. This is also one of the neighborhoods where builders in Castle Rock started to develop the land and have a lot of the homes back to some sort of open space or green belt, or just not have the homes stacked right on top of each other. There are still a lot of homes that trying to just follow the traditional grid of the neighborhood, but they found out people were willing to pay a lot more to live on green space or open space, or have a little bit more room between them and their neighbors, especially when you move out of kind of the inner city parts of Denver, Littleton, and Centennial. So yes, part of it is capitalizing, but also it is nice to have more options of homes available that you can back to green space or back to some open space and not be right on top of your neighbors quite as much. Another benefit to living in the terrain is if you have friends or family that live in Parker, it's actually pretty close to the south end of Parker, and it has kind of the back road into like the Pinery and Pradera and some of the parts of Parker that are sort of like the sister city of Castle Rock. So if you have friends, family, or you like to be close to Parker and maybe some of your life is happening in Parker, then the terrain or the neighborhoods that we're going to next, Castlewood Ranch and Founders Village, can be great options for you to have a blend of Castle Rock and Parker. The homes in the terrain generally range from about $600,000 up to about $800,000, $850,000 on the top end. They do have nice views. They are kind of set further back from the mountain, so you don't get quite the mountain views that you get in some parts of the Old Town Castle Rock, or maybe some of the parts of the Meadows. But you do have a lot of rolling hills, a lot of wide open spaces, and very nice topography, I guess you would call it, as far as the scenery out your back door. Like I said, not the greatest, you don't have as many mountain views from the terrain, but you do have a lot of open space surrounding the neighborhood and trails. Alright, we moved over to the area of Founders Village now, and this is just a little bit further south and maybe a touch to the east of where we were in the terrain. And this is a little bit older than the terrain. That was built in the 2000s, 2010, 2015 time period. And these were right around the early 2000s, late 90s, when a lot of Founders Village was built out. And there is another area of Castlewood Ranch that is technically separate from Founders Village, that's just a little bit further to the east, that was built in the 2010, 2015 range as well. And they're actually still building a few more houses in the Castlewood Ranch area. But Founders Village is very popular among a lot of first-time home buyers because of the lower prices, easier entry point. A lot of the homes here are going to be in that $500,000-$600,000 range, but we have seen some as low as like $475,000 for a single-family home, which is it's really hard to find sub $500,000 single-family detached home with a yard and a garage, and you can definitely still attain that in the Founders Village area. Now, it's not going to be a showstopper home by any means, or have a ton of square footage. It might be a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home. But it is going to be detached, no attached neighbors, and HOAs are pretty reasonable in this area. You do have a pool included in the HOA fees, and you have a ton of trails throughout the neighborhood, and you have a ton of parks throughout the neighborhood. So one within walking distance of your house, and then some larger ones that you could drive to. It's nice because they do have one here off Enderud and Mickelson, the Enderud playground and area, as well as a couple of schools back here for the kiddos. So and Matney Park is another big large park here, and it's a place where if you do recreational sports in Castle Rock, you'll probably be here or in the Meadows, as far as where you would be, you know, playing your soccer games or lacrosse games or flag football or any of those things on the weekends, because they got a ton of fields in this area as well as the parks that are in the Meadows. A lot of families over the last few years find homes in Castle Rock, and a lot of the first-time home buyers do end up selecting this area, Founders Village or the Castlewood Ranch area. Now, the homes in Castlewood Ranch are going to vary a lot. Like the area that I was just in, where my first home was, it's probably 500, 525 for most of the homes in that area. Those ones did not have basements. The ground over here was very rocky, and there was a lot of hard soil to chip through to get through to the rock bed. So a lot of the homes didn't have basements. They just put them on slabs, which was good. But some of the more expensive ones, just to the east of Hiths, that back up to Castlewood Canyon, are really stunning homes, and those are anywhere from $900,000 to $1 million right now. They were building them when I first moved in here, and me and wife took a walk over and toured a couple of them when they were just model homes at the time, thinking, man, this would be epic to have a home like this. And they told us the price, and it was like $575,000, and I was like, that's outrageous. How can anyone ever afford this? Well, wish I had one of these now. Okay, this is kind of funny. I drove by my first house that we bought here just for old time's sake, and I had built a porch swing to sit on the front porch because it had this little area where you could sit out to have morning coffee or evening drinks, and that porch swing is still there, still hanging. Man, must have done a good job on that. Probably should have kept that, but the new house didn't have the front porch, so there's no place to put it. Now, the Castlewood Ranch area is going to be a little bit higher price point than the Founders Village area. Like I said, the homes are a little bit newer. This is where I first bought when I was moving to Castle Rock with my family. We decided that Castlewood Ranch was just the perfect fit for us. The home had a huge yard and was within our price range, very affordable, and was built in 2007. So at the time, it was only 5-6 years old. So definitely a good value for the money down here. Today, that home is probably worth $525,000, maybe even $550,000 on the best day. So probably should have held on to that, but you know, we wouldn't have had our home that we have now without buying this first starter home. And that's what so many people kind of overlook, is that first home doesn't have to be the perfect forever home. It's just your stepping stone into home ownership, and then you really find out what you like and what you don't like. When we first started and we found this home, I thought it was the absolute perfect home because it had the huge yard. It was on like probably almost a quarter of an acre, the whole thing, when you combine the front and the backyard. After 2 and 3 years of mowing this yard and the upkeep on the maintenance and everything that we had to do to that yard, I was like, man, having a yard is nice, but having a yard this big is not worth it because we don't have acreage. It wasn't large enough to have like a chicken or a goat or anything like that. And it was just a huge hassle to do the upkeep on it and to weed all that area. So we found out, hey, that didn't quite work for us. It worked better for us to buy a home that had more square footage and less lot size. So sometimes you don't know until you actually get in and are living in it for a couple of years what your dream home is actually going to look like. we've moved back to the north a little bit, and to the area of Crowfoot Valley, and this is part of Castle Rock that actually feeds back into the south side of Parker. And this neighborhood that we're in touring right now is Diamond Ridge, and this is one of the exclusive neighborhoods of Castle Rock, where you're going to find a lot of multi-million dollar homes in this area. And the reason it's so popular is because of the location. It's secluded, but it's also on top of this ridge where you have beautiful views of the mountains, of all of Castle Rock. When you're in kind of the area of Castle Rock where Walmart, Target, and all the shopping centers are and everything, and you look to the east of I-25, there's kind of a ridge or a cliff that kind of overlooks the entire town of Castle Rock, and that's where Diamond Ridge is. Very beautiful homes, custom style, definitely custom built homes, large, 5,000, 7,000 square feet plus in this area. I remember when I was a kid and it was first being built up, my dad actually was doing a roof back here, and it belonged to one of the old Bronco players. And that was like the coolest thing to me as a huge Bronco fan when I was a kid, is that my dad got to roof one of the Broncos players' houses, or at least do a repair on it. I think it might not have been the whole roof, but it was cool nonetheless. Alright guys, we had to make a quick stop here back in the studio. When you're shooting this long videos, you need a little bit extra battery power to make it through to all these neighborhoods. But the next one we're headed down to is Crystal Valley. Now this is a big master plan development on the south end of Castle Rock, and this is where the new freeway exit is going in. So Crystal Valley Parkway is getting its own exit. This is going to save 10 minutes probably off of people's commutes into like the Denver area, as well as just getting in and out of the neighborhood, making it a lot more accessible and easy. Before that, you had to get off at the last exit in Castle Rock, which was the Plum Creek exit, and take the frontage road all the way down to the actual neighborhood of Crystal Valley, which is probably a 3 to 5 minute drive from kind of the Plum Creek exit to the Crystal Valley neighborhood, the entrance of it. But Crystal Valley is still under development. They're building a lot of homes here. Prices are going to start around $600,000, go up from there, and they are building a lot of luxury homes down in this area, as well as some semi-custom homes from Toll Brothers on these 2 and 5 acre lots on the backside of Crystal Valley. So Crystal Valley is divided into a couple different neighborhoods, but you do have a lot of things happening down there. This is also where the Costco is expected to go in. Not much shopping or dining at the present time. There's just like a convenience store and a coffee shop down there, but slated to become one of the big hubs of Castle Rock going forward. You're going to have a lot of things to choose from when you are exploring the Crystal Valley neighborhood. There's a lot of builders going on. There's a lot of builders down there and a lot of buildings still going on. Everybody from D.R. Horton, Taylor Morrison, Richmond America, Toll Brothers. You have a lot to choose from, and you also have a lot of resale options as well. So you do have a good mix of different homes to choose from. A lot of them built in 2005 and newer for most of Crystal Valley. Things to do down there, you have a ton of parks and recreation to do. You have Raiholite Regional Park down there that's got soccer fields. You also have a huge playground for the kids. There's also a disc golf course down here that you can go and play frisbee golf, and there's also a nice mountain biking course. So it's nothing too crazy or high intensity. It's a great place actually, where if you take the kiddos that want to kind of get into mountain biking and practice a little bit and do some things and fool around, a good place for that. So definitely have a lot of different outdoor activities to do down there. Now, don't have a lot of shopping opportunity. There's not a lot of shopping down there. There's not a lot of restaurants or anything. Really, the only commercial space down there is a convenience store or liquor store, and one of the best coffee shops in town. So my wife's favorite is actually Oodalali Coffee down there. They do a great job. They're really good business down there, and we're supporting it. It's actually a really nice local coffee shop that decorates for the different holidays. So you go down there during Christmas and it's all done up. You go down during Valentine's Day, it's all done up. They do a really good job of making it just a local great place to hang out and grab coffee. Plus, they have a drive-thru, which is kind of one of my wife's non-negotiables if she's going to get coffee, having a drive-thru. Right, and we've stopped at one of the many parks around Castle Rock. You've heard me mention a couple, but this is the Sapphire Point Park. This is up by the neighborhood of Diamond Ridge, and it's also very close to the neighborhood of Macanta, which is our next stop. Now, Macanta is one of the newest developments in Castle Rock. It has some of it built out already, but it continues to expand and grow, and it's on the way to Parker. So this area of Castle Rock, you almost call it Parker Rock, because it's halfway in between Castle Rock and Parker. It still does technically belong to Castle Rock, this and another neighborhood just to the southeast of this neighborhood. They kind of blend together though. Now the Macanta development is going to have a similar feel to like the Crystal Valley area, but it does have more canyon views and a little bit more unique landscape to it than you'll find in Crystal Valley. Crystal Valley is so built up that it kind of feels a little flat in areas unless you get on the outskirts like the areas of Montaigne and Crystal Valley. It can all feel a little bit of the same style and landscape, whereas Macanta has a lot of unique rock formations, canyons, still has a lot of natural landscape to it, and it does have kind of that feel of living out in nature. Like I said, builders are similar to the ones in the Crystal Valley area. You're going to have Toll Brothers, you're going to have Richmond America, D.R. Horton, Lennar. And price ranges in this development are going to range from probably $700 and up. Going to be hard pressed to find anything under $700 at this point in the Macanta development. A lot of the homes are going to be $800 to $950. You might find in some of these areas that the builders are giving some good incentives that might help with the affordability of that. Something that we're usually able to negotiate and get from builders is either concessions to buy down the interest rate, or sometimes you can get a special interest rate if you are agreeing to use the builder's preferred lender. And sometimes you can also negotiate some additional closing costs. Now, best time of year to buy new construction is at the end of one of the quarters. So quarter one and quarter two, not quite as good to get the best deal from a builder, because generally the springtime is their busiest time. They don't have a lot of excess inventory that they're going to need to get rid of, and they don't have as many incentives going either. The best time actually to get new construction is generally at the end of the third quarter, or if you can close by the end of the fourth quarter. Now, sometimes buying a home during the holidays can be a little stressful, expensive, and you're trying to meet those deadlines, but builders trying to close out their books for the year, show a profit, get some excess inventory moving. The best possible time I've found is generally at the end of the quarter. If the builder is behind on their numbers, usually they're more willing to make a deal and give bigger and better incentives. Guys, we have covered a ton of ground all across Castle Rock today. I think I put as many miles on this as I have in some of my further videos that are farther from home. But I hope you guys got a good understanding of what it's like to live in Castle Rock, all these different neighborhoods. We really tried to give you a deep dive on every single one of them, so that when you make your move out to the Denver, Colorado area, if Castle Rock is on your radar, then this is like the only video that you need to watch, because we're covering so much of it. We're getting into every single neighborhood, giving you a taste of what each one looks like, the uniqueness of it, the good or any cons that you might have against the neighborhood. But Castle Rock really is a fantastic place to live. I've lived here for the last, since 2012, so 12 years now, and it's been a great place to raise a family, to be honest with you. It's clean, it's safe, it feels like you have community here. The city puts on a few different events every year in the downtown area, which is nice. They do the star lighting, which is Christmas thing where we have a star on top of the rock at Castle Rock that they light through the holiday season. They put a big event on downtown, and other things like they have car shows on Father's Day. They have farmers markets on the weekend. There's just a lot of stuff happening here, even though it is a small town. You still have all of the modern amenities that you would want, all the suburban things that you would want, like your big box stores and chain restaurants, but you also have a little bit of uniqueness in some of the mom and pop shops that are around as well. So Castle Rock could be the perfect fit for people as long as you're okay with commute if you have to work in the Denver area. You're only about 25 minutes from the tech center, so it's not too bad. You are about 45 minutes from the middle of Denver if you have to commute into the downtown Denver area. This can be a little far for some people, and it is about 45 minutes to an hour depending on traffic to get out to DIA. So if you do have to commute out to the airport a lot, it can be a little bit of a cumbersome drive from Castle Rock to DIA. But so many pros, so many positive things about this town that we call home, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel, and next week we're going to do another one, a deep dive onto all the suburbs in and around Denver. And don't forget to reach out when you're thinking of your move here. Call, text, or email. Email is usually the best way to get a hold of me. And I love helping people out on their home search around Denver. If it's Castle Rock, if it's Littleton, if it's Centennial, any of the areas around, it really is a joy to help people on their home search here. So don't forget to reach out and like and subscribe.